Hello, everybody. It is the Brian and Dan hour, and if you notice, there's only one of the two there. That's of course Dan, because that's what it says behind me. Brian is out tonight. He had to be at his store where he works because they lost power. If you are unaware, Brian and I both are being hit by heavy winter weather this year. He more than I, because I'm in Michigan, so we get our normal snowfall. We're a little extra this year, I'll say snowfall, but nothing we can't handle. They're getting hit by nor'easters, which are powerful winter storms coming off the ocean. It's a long story, but it's bad and it's really hitting hard on him. So we are going to be just having me for a bit. Hopefully, Brian will be back to his computer in time to be part of the show later. But I know at the start it's just me and me the whole time. Fortunately, I'm not alone. I have a guest tonight. I have another author that comes from well, he has a great background of all these wonderful books, and he has a new book out and want to talk about. He is with my mind is losing my words here. Jeez, uh, but he is with the publisher that was with us last week. So we got an author. I know you were expecting Tom Nguyen this week, who is an artist, and I did. He is going to be a guest, but he had to cancel and move his date down. So he will be later this month. Hopefully, we'll have him on. But this week we have a great guest. I'm really excited to talk to. I love talking to authors, as you should know, because I am one. Not as big and important as the one I have on tonight, but I like to think I'm an author. That's about as best I can put it. So, and hello, Jim Sadler, Jim, and Valerie Mockman. Both of welcome tonight. Don't forget to like and share this with all the people. We are live both on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you want to leave any comments or questions, we will get to them and address them. Both of us being authors, you have any questions about authoring, publishing, books, whatever, just throw them out there. Hello, John. John Clark's on here. And yeah, Jim. Jim happens to be one of my biggest fans, so of course he's going to make fun of that. Jim, of course, also is over in Oxford, England, so he's in a whole different time. So we're all over the place tonight. So, anyways, glad to see people logging on. I'm going to go ahead and bring my guest on because it's just going to be me rambling if I don't. So here is Mr. Phil. Say your last name so I don't say it wrong.
Foglio. The G is silent.
Foglio. That's a perfect last name. I need that as an artist. Folios for Foglio. Yeah.
Oh yes, that has been noted.
I am sure you've heard that a few times. So I lived in East Tennessee for a number of years, and Peyton Manning was a big name there, and his first name is the same as my last name, and people made that note all the time. I got to the point where I had to tell people, no, we're not related, because they would be like, oh, really? You related to him? Like,
no. That's not how first names work.
It'd be nice. I mean, he's more well-known than I am. So
fair enough.
Anyway, since I already rambled on, why don't you introduce yourself, tell people about who you are and what you do.
Sure. My name is Phil Foglio. Thank you very much. I have been involved in science fiction fandom since the early 1970s. So let's see. Won a Fan Hugo Award for Best Amateur Artist back in 78 and 79. I did a comic called What's New for Dragon Magazine. Let's see. I did comic book work for DC and Marvel, more for DC. Did Angel and the Ape and Plastic Man and Stanley and His Monster. I did, around the 80s, I started going independent because, as any independent person will tell you, no other publisher really cares as much about your work as you do. So you want to seize the means of production and advertising. Let's see. I did a science fiction comic series called Buck Godot, Zap Gun for Hire. I did an adaptation of Robert Asprin's first myth novel, another fine myth, which was known as Myth Adventures. I let's see. I did an erotic comic called Xenophile. I did, my wife and I, Kaya Foglio, did a whole bunch of magic cards for Wizards of the Coast. And let's see, for the last 22 years now, we've been doing a webcomic called Girl Genius, which also won a couple of Hugo Awards. First three Hugos for Best Graphic Story, after which we removed ourselves from the category because it was just getting embarrassing. Let's see. We've written 4 Girl Genius novels. And the thing I'm ostensibly here to talk about is I've just finished up a brand new non-Girl Genius novel called The Night Sheriff, which came out late last year.
Yep. Wow. That is a resume to be proud of. Wish I could say that. That's impressive.
I've been probably working on it longer than you.
Not to be indelicate, but yes.
That's okay to me.
So when, just out of curiosity, when did you work with Magic the Gathering?
Let's see. We actually we were living with some people who said, "Hey, you want to go to a party?" And we were like, "Yeah, sure. We like parties." And we wound up going to Peter Atkinson's house back when when Wizards of the Coast was occupying a place in his basement. So pretty much pre-release. Let's see. We didn't get involved with the initial alpha set, but they asked Kaya to do work for Arabian Nights, and I got in on Legends, and we worked for, the next couple of years on that.
I have several friends who are artists for Magic the Gathering. They have been for several decades now.
Yeah.
They did Steve Argyle, Drew Baker, Howard Lyon.
They all came in after me. So
yeah, I was gonna say, depending on the time period you were in, they're more late 2000s to now was when their major work's been done. But I just said, it's kind of, when you mentioned, I was like, I knew of the books and other stuff. So you said Magic. I was like, wait a minute, I know other people who do that. I think I may be the only person I know who hasn't been involved with that. I've actually been involved with collectible card games in a lot of ways. So Our Entertainment Group was one I was involved with for a long time and worked with them. So
yeah, Kai and I did work for a number of different collectible card games. She did work for the Lord of the Rings game, and man, everybody and their dog was putting out a collectible card game at the beginning there when it looked like just a way to mint money. In fact, I did one myself. We did a trading card game based on Xenophile. So
I can, I remember that. I remember the late '90s when it was like you couldn't produce anything without. Oh, look, here comes the next card game for it.
Oh yes, absolutely.
If it was a popular movie, Decipher made the card game. It was a popular book series. Wizards had it. I remember those days, and there's a few that came out that were really awesome. There was a lot of them that were forgettable.
Oh yeah, and there were some that were super good, and just through bad marketing and they just went away. The SimCity card game, I still say that was one of the better card games out there, but who's heard of it?
Yeah. So, someone asked if you have any of the artwork you've done for DC.
What do you mean? Do I have any?
Like that you could show right now?
Oh, no. I didn't bring props, but it's very easy to Google online. You can just, Foglio, Angel and the Ape, Stanley and His Monster, Plastic Man. Well, actually, Plastic Man was done by a much better artist than me named Hilary Barta. But I did the scripting and co-plotting.
Okay. Yeah, we'll look up some of that and we'll post it on there and show people the artwork.
That would be
So that's that is amazing. Working with DC at the time and all these comics. So what got you initially into that? I mean, was it going through the Hugo Awards and winning and just getting recognition, or did you pursue it?
no, actually, they before DC in the 80s, I was living in Chicago, and I knew people who worked for a company called First Comics, and they did titles like, their big hit was American Flag by Howard Chaykin. But I worked on one called Dynamo Joe with a friend of mine named Doug Rice. It was a giant robot strip, and I did the scripting for that, and I helped write the backup feature. But I had a very good relationship with the editor the chief editor of the company, a guy named Mike Gold. Mike and I always worked very well together. And then Mike moved to DC. And I saw him at a convention or something. And I was, and he was like, "So you got any ideas?" And I was like, because back then the idea, people had been coming up to DC with, because DC over its 70 some odd year history has generated a clown car of weird, forgettable characters, and your sure ticket to get a book at DC, was to go in there and go, "Hey, here's a character that no one's touched for like 20 years. And if you want to maintain the copyright, you want me to revamp this character." And that's like how Animal Man and a bunch of other characters had very well regarded series. I mean, because it was fucking Animal Man. Who cared? You can do anything with it. And they did. Oh, I'm sorry. Is this a...
That's perfectly fine.
Okay, that's good. I'm from New York. I can't help myself. So I came to him and I was like, "Hey, I'd really like to do Stanley and his monster." And he was like, "Stanley and his monster, was that one of ours?" And I said, "Yes, it was." He said, "Well, I don't know. What's your take on it?" And I had like one of my perfect marketing moments. I said, "It's kind of like, Calvin and Hobbes." And whoa, he really sat up on that one. And he was like, "Yeah, Calvin and Hobbes is hot." That's how you do it. You tie it to something that somebody else is doing that's already making money that they don't own. Boom. So yeah. I felt dirty and commercial, but I got a series out of it.
You got their attention.
There you go.
That's always a good thing.
When,
back in the day when they did that Lego Batman movie, I'm not. Be honest, I'm not a big comic book follower. Just didn't grow up in that. But sure. I like watch these movies, but I'm friends of mine who are big Batman fans, and so we were talking about this movie because it had all these strange villains comically joined up, and we were joking about it, and she says, "No, that was from Batman. That's real. That's real. That's real." And then she started listing all the ones, and every single character down to Calendar Man was a Batman character. And we were like, what were they drinking when they wrote that?
Again, like I said, this is the big problem I have with comic book continuity is like, these are stories about people ostensibly in their 20s to 30s that have been running for 30 years. Like every single day, some new nut job apparently swings out of the rafters and goes, "Aha! I am Ketchup King," or whatever it was, and for a while they were like, "Oh yes, this is absolutely canonical." Ketchup King, real guy, his parents were scared by mustard or something or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, and I currently one of my major projects is I write content for an online superhero game. And
Really?
so I said one of the puzzling aspects to me is that I'm not a comic book fan. I mean, I don't not like them. I just never really
Yeah.
followed. And so I'm now having to sit down and create superhero storyline, but I'm writing it from the perspective of a science fiction fantasy author, not a comic book author.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference.
Oh
There
yeah.
is very big difference. I highly respect, because last year I wrote a comic book that's based on one of my published novels. That's a superhero novel that my publisher is putting out these comic books, and so they wanted us to all create one little story that's encapsulated that we can put out as a comic book. I thought to myself, I can knock that out in a week. Boy, was I wrong. Man, that was harder than I thought it was going to be. Writing that to make it entertaining, concise, good, everything was. It's like this is harder than I thought it was going to be. So I respect the art
It's
of comic book writing.
it's an entirely different type of storytelling than prose. It's very similar to movies, but even then, it's different. I mean, you everything has to be conveyed by dialogue and action. You don't have any, inner dialogue. You don't have any thought processes, and you better hope you get yourself a good artist, or it's just people standing around in front of a brick wall.
Yep. Yeah, that was actually two things that were handed to me that really pushed me past my barrier of I can't do this. When I started, I almost gave up. And the two things that were given to me is one person gave me movie script writing information. They said, okay, if you take your mind out of writing a novel, you're writing a script.
Right.
So put aside, do it like this. That was great. But then the other person said, your narrator is your pictures. And I was like, I didn't understand that. They were trying to convince me because I didn't know what I was doing. They're like, because in my writing, I'm writing up the story, and this is what the scene looks like. This is he walks across the street. I can't put that in a comic book. The picture says that, not the character doesn't walk around talking like that. That would be weird.
Yeah.
So that line kind of broke past my I can't do this. And once I got that, it made more sense. But once I did that, I now highly respect comic book authors because it's a definite skill that's not easy to do. And
Nope.
make it good. I'm sure you can do it bad. I know I didn't do it great. I did my best, but I can understand that how hard it is. But writing superheroes for this game has been. I can also respect the difficulty on coming up with new bad guys, new heroes that have originality. You don't need another guy who flies in who's super strong to go along with the other 5 dozen that are just like him.
Yeah.
You got to, and you also got to watch out for hyperbole. You got to watch out for the superheroes that can do everything and never have a problem. Then you got Mary Sue's flying around.
That's right.
Oh, so yes, I that's pretty fascinating. So you worked with both DC and Marvel.
Marvel, much less. I only did like one or two short stories for them. They had a humor title called "What the," um, and they hired me to do some stuff for that.
Okay. So now moving on to books. So yeah, you said primarily what we're talking about tonight is your newest book, and so give us some more about that. Night Sheriff.
The Night Sheriff. Night Sheriff. It takes place in a amusement park that is most definitely not Disneyland. Thank you very much. And the main character he's a supernatural creature, and he is pretty much stuck there, and he is tasked by the company that owns the place, and he keeps well, certainly he takes care of your more egregious, muggers and rapists and stuff like that. But he also guards the place against supernatural incursions.
Okay. Is this the beginning of a series or a continuation of one?
Um, Boy, everybody and their dog wants me to write another one, but it's tough. When it comes to prose, I am not a fast writer. I mean, I took like 12 years on this thing.
Mm,
Uh,
okay.
but luckily that's not what I have to do to keep the lights on. I got like 1,000 other things going, and this is more of a hobby. So, but it's always nice when people want more. That's an old vaudevillian saying. Always go out leaving the audience wanting more.
Yep. In fact, that's why I wrote a sequel to a couple of my books, is that people asking for it. And after a while, you're like, if they want it, I better write it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm putting notes together for it, but the overarching plot, which is the important thing, that's always like the last thing to gel.
Yeah, I'm recently been going through publishers and agents and all that. And one thing I found a little amusing is I have agents who are doing vlogs on YouTube and all about how to get a book and how to sell a book. And don't just write one. They're going to want more than one. They standalones just don't sell. And then you go to the publishing site. Please don't pitch any more than one book. We only want to hear about one book. And if you don't tell us it's a series, we don't care. And I'm like, what? It, you're confusing me, people.
Yeah,
So I'm writing a sequel for a book I'm currently marketing, and if they want it, great. If they don't, it's going to sit on my computer.
yeah, yeah. I've got basically I'm a firm believer in write what you want to read.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So,
yes, I love that. I love doing that. So okay, and now what inspired you to write this book? Has been working on it for so long. What inspired you to write the book?
um, my family and I went to Disneyland, and we always go in the off season. So it was like October or something, maybe even November. Yeah, it was November because it was we went during the election day when Obama was elected. Oh, there's a new person here. Woo!
Hi.
Hey,
Sorry. Brian made it.
yep.
I'm here. What is this screen selection you have chosen here, Dan?
I
There we
there
go.
we go.
There we go. Hello.
Hello,
Meet Brian.
hi, Brian.
Hi. I seem to have come in at the appropriate time because he was talking about Disney, which is my sort of language. Yeah. So
I don't know
anyways.
anybody who's visited Disney as much as he has. So, anyways, back to this. You were at Disney
We
World.
were at Disneyland, and yeah, and I was wearing a long leather coat and a weird flat hat, and we were going back to our hotel, and it was all foggy and cool. And I mean, it was weird, especially for Southern California. You couldn't see like 15 feet in front of you. So we're walking back to our hotel, and there's one of these little kiosks where they sell, pins or drinks or whatever. And we come up out of the fog, and the person running the kiosk sees me, and she's like, "Whoa, what character are you?" Because obviously I'm dressing as something. And without missing a beat, I said, "Well, ma'am, I'm the night sheriff." She was like, "Ooh, I've never heard of that one." And I was like, "Well, there you go." And I was like, "So who the hell's the night sheriff?" And I spent the next 12 years writing the book.
So when she says, "Who's that character?" you had to say, "Give me a minute. Give me a few years."
Yeah. No, I came up with the name, boom, like that, and then spent the next couple of years trying to figure out who I was talking about.
Yep. So okay, and then may I ask, okay, how did you get involved with Alexi and his publishing?
Alexei Venneberg, he's got this thing called Bard's Tower, which is a gosh, I'm trying to think of what you would call it. Basically, he collects authors and he brings their books to conventions that they might not actually go to themselves. Like he does a lot of stuff on the East Coast and in the Southeast, which, I might be interested in doing, but, we're talking like 3,000 miles away. So, I don't really have the wherewithal to get over there by myself. But, he brings us in and we stand and we sell our books. And, it, for me at least, it gives me a chance to assess, the actual convention and go, I think I might come back here myself next year. But I ran into him. Man, where did I run into him? I ran into him at some convention or another, and we had our own booth, and he was like, you should come stand at my booth as opposed to yours. And I was like, well, under the right circumstances, I'm totally up for that. After I finished The Night Sheriff, I was talking with another associated author, a guy named Marion Harmon, who does some really cool superhero stuff, by the way. He's got a series, I think it's called Wearing the Cape, which I heartily recommend to everyone. He's got like 6 or 7 of those out now. And he was like, well, Alexi is looking to get into publishing. And I was like, well, sure, I'll send it to him. And Alexi turned around and sent me a contract. So, all right.
That's awesome. Yeah, I actually met Alexi here in Michigan during a Comic-Con that I was at, and I saw the tower. And so I had to go over there. One of the authors I already knew, and so I had to go and say hi. And then I saw Alexi, and he's kind of hard to miss.
Oh, yes.
So I saw him, and then just by happenstance, I was down in Knoxville, Tennessee doing a Comic-Con, and there was Bard's Tower again and him, and we talked even more, and so we got connected that way. So it's I love that Bard's Tower. It's a wonderful idea. It really is.
Yes.
It's really cool because it's different. It sets apart the authors, and one of the things I've always disliked at a lot of Comic-Cons is they'll put all the comic book vendors together, the stars together, the crafters together, the book authors kind of get just stuck all over the place. And so when you have people who are like there to want to buy books, they kind of have to hunt them down. The Bard's Tower gathers them in one place. So at least that much is there. So I like the idea. So what target audience is your book, The Night Sheriff, for? Is this a young adult?
I'd say, there are horror aspects to it. So I'd say, teens and up kind of thing. Nothing really egregious, but, he eats people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen stuff for kids today that's about like that. So, yeah, it'll work.
That's true. It's not particularly gory or anything. So I don't know. Try reading it to your kids and let me know.
John Clark says he wished he could have you sign his copy of Illuminati University.
Oh yes, I do a fair amount of stuff for Steve Jackson Games, and recently Steve has actually done a bunch of Girl Genius related properties. He did Girl Genius Munchkin, and just this year, he's going to be bringing out Girl Genius Groups.
Nice.
Yes, we've seen the proofs, and they just look amazing. And as far as I know, right now, it's slow walking here from Asia.
Yeah, a little bit. So are you set up to go to do some Comic-Cons soon?
Yes. We are we're planning to do San Diego. For the last 20 some odd years, my wife and I have been the MCs at the Masquerade at Comic-Con. Obviously, we weren't able to do that in person the last 2 years, but we did it remotely. But they're going back live, and we've been approached to do it again. So hopefully we'll see you all there. I might do WonderCon in California, which is like April 1, 2, and 3. They're a sister convention of Comic-Cons run by the same people. And I plan on doing the World Science Fiction Convention, which is in Chicago this year, Labor Day weekend.
Nice. Yeah, I've been setting up my schedule for the week, for the year, and so far I've got Gatlinburg, Tennessee, Indianapolis, here in Michigan, Motor City Comic Con. I just applied for Dragon Con because that one you got to apply for, and then they tell you if you get in.
I used to do Dragon Con decades ago, but it just got too chaotic for me.
Yeah, I actually have not done a book signing at Dragon Con. I've attended, but when I was going to go there, of course, I'm not as well a known author as you. I'll put it that way. So I'm looking at like artist booths, and back in the day when I first got published, I was going for artist booths. Friends of mine who were like the big time magic artists who were invited to it, they looked at me and said, "Don't do the artist booths," because they put them like in the basement and nobody ever went there.
Right.
But Dragon Con has improved that, and so they've interspersed those booths into other areas and spread them out so they're not all just basically hidden in a dungeon. And so I'm looking at that, actually going as book signing this year with my publisher, who happens to be in Atlanta. So,
very nice.
One of my two publishers is right there in Atlanta. And crazy thing is, he's in Atlanta. And when I first got published with him, I said, "Oh, so do you go to Dragon Con much?" He said, "What's Dragon Con?"
I see.
I said, "Well, not to scare you half to death, but go." Because he's never been to a Comic Con in his life. And I thought, I don't know if I want to subject him to that one as his first. So we went to some smaller ones first. But this year might be my first for that. Yeah.
Well, this year San Diego will probably be smaller than it normally is because they're doing the protocol thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to getting back out there. I've done a few this year, past year, and I'm looking forward to getting back to some this year.
Yeah.
I find what I'm doing in Knoxville at the end of May is a very small gaming convention that's brand new, and my brother happens to live in the area. He's going to be attending, doing game demoing and all. So I got invited to that one, and they were so excited because I was the biggest celebrity they had coming. I'm like, oh, that's kind of sad. So anyway, so now that we have Brian, do you have anything to ask?
When I had to post this show, and I was looking them up on Amazon, and I saw Girl Genius, and there's quite a few of those, and I was looking at all the artwork because if I'm not correct, you are an illustrator.
I am.
So did you do all the artwork for your own books? Is that all yours?
No, as a matter of fact, I did not.
Okay.
And, for very cold-blooded reasons, too. The first 3 books are illustrated by, covers are by a very good artist named Tom Kidd. And the 4th one, Siege of Mechanicsburg, is done... I'm really ashamed about this, by this wonderful Eastern European artist with a completely unpronounceable name. But yeah. The publisher was very much, we think you should get somebody else to do the covers. And I was like, I'd pretty much thought the same thing. What's your reason? And their reason was the same as mine, which is I have a very cartoony style. Very stylized kind of thing. And there are some people who really, really like it. And there's some people who really, really don't. And you can't even get upset about that because it's art. You're allowed to have opinions about art.
Right.
But, I hear from a number of people who are like, oh, man, I hear Girl Genius's story is just amazing, but I can't get past that art. Well, what are you going to do? Well, what you do is you write down the story in a format where they can get the story without having to look at my art. So, we get somebody else entirely to do the art, and they can have their girl genius story completely untainted by my art.
Well, I didn't mind the art; it wasn't that bad. But yeah, now that
Thank you
you mentioned that, now that you mentioned that, I could tell the difference between some of the covers.
Yes,
like Buck, was it there? Right? Was it Buck?
Buckado, yes, that's mine.
Okay. Yeah,
All of the graphic novels are done by me.
okay.
Yeah,
All
only
right.
the prose novels are, hired out.
Okay. All right. I could tell the difference.
Oh,
The
good.
cartoonish, like you said, I could tell.
Yeah.
So yeah, not bad though. I like the covers, so I think I'm going to start reading them.
Cool.
Yeah. But there's a lot of books though.
Yes. We are going to be kickstarting our 20th volume probably in the beginning of March.
Wow.
And yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm currently illustrating, and my wife and I are still writing volume 22. So we like to get a little ahead.
Yeah, because when I was looking at all the books, and Girl Genius was just one after another, and I just kept looking, and I kept scrolling and scrolling some more, and scrolling, and I'm like, this guy's got like, I've never seen so many books before. So
Well, there you go.
wow, very nice. Yeah, so now I got some reading material. So
well, the best way to do it is on the website, because it is a web comic.
Okay.
And girlgeniusonline.com, and it gets a new page every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And like I said, we've been doing it for 20 some odd years.
Wow.
Yeah, Jim asks why Kickstarter.
I have heard that people are having problems with Kickstarter for political/philosophical reasons, and I totally understand that. We are looking into other crowdsourcing venues, but at the moment, we are already lined up with Kickstarter. We have a history with them. So we will use this one, and while we are, and in the interim, we will probably crowdfund a number of other projects through other venues and see if we can find one that works, frankly, as well, because, Kickstarter's really good at what it does. And the, funding these books really is our big cash infusion of the year, and we have to make sure that we get those books, published.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we give the webcomic away for free.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like what there's an author that I follow. I read all of her books on Amazon when they come out.
Yeah.
I've bought all of her audio versions of the book.
Yeah.
I now listen to, and she also does a serial podcast where it's a chapter comes out every Thursday, but she also has her website where you can pay a monthly subscription, where you can get extra content to her books, free books, and you get to go up 5 chapters ahead of everybody else.
Woof.
So I know how it is trying to make money, because she says it in her podcast. We make money from you borrowing my books on Amazon or buying them. It pays for the graphic designers for the books and editing and all that stuff. So there's a lot to it.
There is a lot to it. A modern author or cartoonist or just content creator, you cannot count on any one project or platform providing you with a working living. What we the way we think of it is you got to have like 100 little streams of income coming from, 100 different sources.
Right.
And that way, if one or two of them, implodes or something like that, it won't cripple you. But it's one of the reasons why we still do freelance work. It's money coming from outside the hive. But yeah, we have money coming from Patreon. We have a web store where you can buy stuff through Topodico. We're also talking about getting our stuff up on HiveWorks. We solicit our books through traditional comic book distribution networks. We've been with Diamond for decades, and we just signed up with Lunar Distribution. Which is a new distributor.
Yeah.
And the great thing about that is, we were like, oh, well, if you're interested in Girl Genius, I know there's a number of other people who carry it. And as a result of this, they've approached Steve Jackson Games and Greater Than Games and a number of other people like that. So, that's more income for us indirectly. And, we were able to do a solid to, like, for instance, Steve Jackson, who does a lot of good stuff for us. So that's networking. That's what that is.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, I'm learning it. Trust me. I am learning it. So
working on it. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love this. And I do a little bit of artwork myself. So people always ask me the same question. Did you do all your book covers? And I have to say, no.
Yeah.
I've done exactly one of my book covers. And that's now, okay, that's a lie, because just today it got released, soft released. All my Dragonmon books are now hardback edition, and they have unique covers for the hardback edition that I did. So This one's the publisher, but I always tell people when it comes to publishers, when it comes to covers especially, you have to talk to marketing experts. You have to. That's why publishers and all that will say, we like your ideas, we're going to go to our marketing team, because people judge books by their covers. And that's when you said that. You said, people, I don't like the art. I can't get past that. And he's like, I know it sounds unfair, but that's marketing. People will judge a book by its cover.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you as the author, too much about the story, and, you illustrate a scene or something that you're like, oh, yeah, I really think this should be in there. And, other people are like, the hell is it? So, you need that kind of once remove, show it to somebody who didn't live this thing for 20 years and ask them what they think is interesting and worth illustrating. I believe that a creative person should have an ego out of cast iron and just be able to shrug off anything. But every now and then you just have to sit down and shut up and let them illustrate what they think is good, because you're not always right about everything.
I totally agree, and I have dealt with that with authors, especially new authors, when they come out. And there's two things that I will pick out, and I will be as nice as possible. I will insult them by saying your cover is not good, but I will do so in the most constructive way possible.
Yeah.
Not be mean. And the first one is and I notice this with a lot of people who are retired, and so they're going to try self-publishing their book, and that's fine. But their cover was drawn by their grandchild in crayons.
Ooh.
They're like, why isn't this selling? And I'm like, because they think it's a coloring book for 2-year-olds. And then I'm like, this is not going to work. That, or the most classic new author cover mistake, and that is, I want to put every special part of my book on this cover right now. And their book is this fruit salad of everything under the sun that makes no difference to the reader who's never read their book before.
Exactly right.
So those I will pick on those, and I'll be as nice as I can, because what I hate is I'll go onto Facebook or Twitter or wherever, people saying, I'm a new author, here's my cover, I just had it done, or I did it, and 500 people go, oh, that's just adorable, oh, that's darling, oh, congratulations, and I'm like, this is garbage.
Yeah.
I don't want to be mean. I really don't, but this is garbage. Don't do this to yourself. So
you make me scared to choose my cover of my book.
Yeah. Well, you totally should be scared because, it's something that ideally, you really have no control over. And you're relying upon, people, and, it's like, well, you'd better be good at your job, Mr. Art Director, and you'd better be good at your job, Mr. Artist, and you'd better be good at your job, Mr. Person who sets type and graphic design, and and it's like a motion picture in that way. It's like astonishing that there are as many good ones as they are because they're worked on by 100 people, either any one of which could go. You know what? I had a bad lunch today. Fuck this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
could be me. Oh no.
That's where I find I have a problem, or I feel for some directors when the final product comes out and that's their one department just dropped the ball on something, and they look at the director and go, why did you do that? I'm like, they have 5,000 cats to herd.
Yes.
Cat number 433 didn't get their job done right on Friday. Look what happened.
Yeah. There you go.
So just like I respect comic artists, I respect directors, because I've been on stage. I was on stage for decades, and I watched the directors pulling their hair out every day. So.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Jim keeps. I mentioned I have a new book, and my biggest fan, Jim Sadler, is immediately says I want it every time I say it. So. Yes, Jim. When I have copies, I will sign and send you some. So, but you need to get some of Phil's books. Sound awesome. I found to use them you'd like, definitely.
Absolutely.
So, questions. I'm trying to see if we have any questions that popped up while we were talking. I know John Clark here. He's an author too, and he's been how he's worked with his cover recently. Yeah, there we are. Valerie had the question. What was your best project you did?
Best project? Well, what determines best project? What are your metrics? I mean, best paid project? Wow, that was Magic Cards for Wizards of the Coast. Man, they had no idea what they were doing. They just paid us too much money. Most emotionally satisfying? Oh, probably Girl Genius. I do it with my wife. We've been doing it for 20 years. We won 3 Hugo Awards for it. It's read by hundreds of thousands of people around the planet. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I don't have to have a real job. I'm super happy with Girl Genius. I did some stuff with, some of the stuff I did for DC. I got to revisit some characters that I grew up with and, kind of put my spin on some of them. And, that was gratifying. So, it depends on the mood I'm in, which is my most, satisfying project. If I only had the one, if, 30 years later, I'm like, yep, by golly, that one picture, that right there, that was it. I should have been hit by a bus after that. Screw it. I'm doing something wrong, man.
Yeah. I have a kind of a hot and cold there. If people ask my favorite book, I'm like, that's ask my favorite child. I can't do that. I love them all. But then I do a lot of artwork for like the online game. I do artwork for them. I do tons and tons of pictures. People ask that question, I'm like, that's the last thing, like, what's my least favorite child? Because,
yeah.
So I like it all, but I take it or leave it. My books are definitely much more a part of me. The art is just something that I get paid to do, and I get money for it. Yay. So,
yeah,
definitely. Okay, well, we're down to about 10 minutes before the show's over. Is there anything else you wanted to say? Anything talk about where we can get your books?
Yeah. Okay, well, let's see. Girl Genius, like I said, it's a web comic. You can read it online for free. The entire archive is up there. We were, in fact, the first people to take an existent comic property that we were charging money for and say, you know what, screw it. Here you go. You can have it for free.
Mm.
And, you know, a lot of people in the industry were like, what are you, nuts? You're already getting money for this. And within a year, our sales tripled. So you can get Girl Genius. You can order it from our website. You can order it from Amazon. You can get it from just about any good comic book store. And if they don't have it, they're not a good comic book store. Barnes and Nobles carries it. You know, we do a lot of conventions on normal times. We do a fair number of conventions, and you can buy them from us. We try really hard to make it easy to get our stuff. You know, we do everything we can to be able to take your money.
Sorry, my phone was going off. I didn't want to bother the show. So, so you're here, there, and everywhere, which is
pretty much, yeah. You know, just you know, go to Amazon and type in Foglio. And aside from, you know, some religious stuff from relatives I've never met, it's pretty much all me.
Yeah. I only have one other person on Amazon with my full name, Daniel Payton, and he's written one book back in the 90s about sex discrimination in the workplace for legal students. Not me.
Fair enough.
So, but other than that, I'm easy to find. But yes, it's no. His name is Jim's putting on here. It's Foglio.
Right.
He is in
Right
there.
It's right hiding. There. Says it right there. Phil.
Yep.
Phil Foglio. Right there.
Yep.
Right there.
In blue.
So, well, thank you for being on the show tonight. I was glad to have you.
I'm glad I made it. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
How'd it go at the store, Brian?
Well, as expected, power resumed by the time I got there. So, you know, after driving 15 minutes, I got there. I knew it was going to happen, but I had to disarm the alarm because it kept beeping because the power came back on, and it was just like, what's happening here? What's going on? So beeping, and I had customers, what's going on? What's all this beeping and stuff? So I had to do that. So for, 10 minutes worth of work, I got paid for 4 hours. So it works out very well, So I went. But, and then registers were slowly coming back online. People are wanting to cash out because Walmart's now closed because it's in the same complex. I worked for Staples. So it's just, now we're getting busy. The registers aren't going to want to work, and he's having problems. So my phone kept going off during the show because my closer is texting me, the safe is off $4. What should I do? And I'm just like, I don't really care it's $4. Let me worry about it tomorrow. I'll be there. So, but he's like 19. So a shout out to Griffin, because I know he watches the show. Most of my coworkers have subscribed to our YouTube channel, so don't forget this is live on Facebook along with YouTube channel as well at the same time. I love it.
YouTube.
Yeah, hi YouTube. So that's what happened. That's what I'm dealing with on a daily basis. I have no manager. I have no sales manager, which is an equivalent of a assistant manager. I'm the operations supervisor. I'm running the place pretty much. I think I'm doing a good job so far. So I know that I can rely on people. But anyways, that's why I was late.
Yep. Well, as I said, thank you for being here, Phil. I hope to have you back.
Yes, please come back.
And people go check out the myriad of things under his name, particularly Night Sheriff, which is the newest production, and it's his first one from. Remind me of the publisher. My mind has lost the publisher name.
Prince of Cats.
Prince of Cats. Thank you. I am sorry. I really am sorry. I know the name. Prince of Cats. It's your first. It's your only one currently, right? Through Prince of Cats.
From Prince of Cats. That is correct.
So his first one's there, and his most recent
Yeah.
publication. Of course, he has all the others you can get connected with. So definitely get there, share it, talk about it, and don't forget to like and share and talk about this. So if you have any questions after the show, if you're watching this on the recording, post them, and we'll see if we can get Mr. Phil to answer them.
I could do that. Okay.
Why not, right?
So thank you for being here tonight, and we hope to see you again in sometime in the future.
Toodaloo.
Bye. Well,
We had a good show. I missed having you at the beginning. I was talking to myself.
sorry. I'm sorry. Well, now you know why I recruited you to be my co-host, because I was tired of talking to myself until the guest came on. So now you know how it feels. But I'm glad I made it. I'm glad I met him. Like I said, I looked him up because I didn't know him, to be honest with you. Most of these guests I don't know, and which to me is a good thing because I learned so much about them before they come on, So look at all those books on Amazon and the other websites that he mentioned. I looked at that up as well. So yeah, I got some reading material to do, in over 22 years. What? Yeah, I've never even heard of that.
When we first got the information about him, and I looked up, I was like, I know these properties. I know that the Girl Genius. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Of course, the work with DC and Magic. That's DC. I didn't even know what Magic till he came on, but DC and stuff I knew of them. But I just wow. So I feel a little embarrassed at times when I'm authors on here. I'm like, oh, so you did that?
Yeah.
I've done that to celebrities before. I have actually done that to celebrities that I've walked up to the table and they'll have all their pictures set out there of all their different roles they've been in. And I'll point to one that's like from Star Trek and go, oh, that was you? I don't know if that's a compliment because they're so in character or if it's insult. I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't say that.
Well, see, Jim didn't know who you were either.
Yeah. But now you do.
It happens.
Now you do.
Right?
So that's part of why we want you to watch and listen to this so that you get to know people. Because authors matter too. So
That's right. And I'm learning that. I am learning that. So I mean, I'm happy to report that my book is finished. Well, I shouldn't say my book. Our book is finished because I am collaborating with a friend of mine. It's finished. It's done. So now I've been editing it. I've been starting from the beginning again. I have been going through and reading out loud so that I know it makes sense in my head as I'm reading. So far, so good. But I have hit a snag because I got to chapter 9 and I'm reading, and then all of a sudden it ends 4 pages later. So I'm like, wait a minute. Chapter 9 only had 4 pages. Because on the next page 5 was chapter 10. I'm like, uh-oh, what happened here?
Well, does it flow? Is there an issue in the story there, or is it just where it's broken?
I know that in talking with other people about this, they said, well, it doesn't really matter how many pages the chapter is, and I totally understand that. But to make everything flow, and for me, because I'm just OCD about it, to make it even, I said, roughly 10 pages a chapter. Let's do that. That's the goal. Let's see if we can do that at least. But 4 pages, it's too short. Because what happens is, and not to give anything away, but thanks for showing up. I hope everyone likes the pot roast that I've made for dinner. They all gather into the dining room and start eating. Before you know it, they're done eating, and day has turned to night. And that was it. So it's like, oh my goodness, there's so much opportunity there. What happened at the dinner table? What were the conversations? What were they talking about? So just to add, so that's where I'm at right now. So to add, and it's like, it's me writing it. So I'm having fun with it. I'm having fun. So I only have 4.5 pages to write, and then I can continue on with the editing process and go from there.
Yep.
Go from there. So yeah, that's where I'm at, folks. It's done. And I can't wait to read it. completely.
Yep. So, okay, well, we look forward to your final product, which
Mm.
again is still down the road a ways, but the process is it's a good process, and I'll be there to give you some advice on that. But for the people listening, remember, if you have any questions for Mr. Bill Foglio, post them on here, and we'll get them to him. And look him up on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, his website. Check out all of his stuff. And thank you for watching tonight.
Make sure to check out Prince of Cats.
Mm-hmm. Yes, check out Alexi Vandenberg's publishing house, Prince of Cats. And if you are at a Comic-Con where the Tower of Books is at, go visit it.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I guess
that was a great show.
That's our show for tonight, everybody. And we're glad Brian got to be through half of it, but he's here. So, yay.
I made it, right? Yes. So, So, everyone, have a fantastic weekend. Hopefully, this storm is not impacting. I know it's impacting 20 million people. I know that. It's impacting me. It's coming. So, it's now changing over to the ice. And then after that, overnight, we changed to snow, 2 to 4 inches of snow, but whatever. So, be careful, drive safe, and have a fantastic weekend. And Dan and I will see you next Thursday.
Next Thursday, everybody.
At 8 o'clock. That's it.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Bye, y'all.